Hey YouTube, I'm Coach Dragonmar and welcome to a new video. I solo queued to Radiant back in episode 1 and I want to help you do the same. Today's video is a good one. We're focusing on a Radiant mindset that touches on what I like to call the rule of impact. This mindset helps refocus your priorities to make you a more complete and competitive player. There is a heavy focus on one thing in Valorant and I want to explain why that's wrong and how you can fix it. But first, I'd like to thank today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Valorant Tracker. If you want to improve, the Valorant Tracker in-game app has you covered. It's hard to see your mistakes or even the progress you've made, but Valorant Tracker makes it easy. Curious about positive or negative trends in your game? Valorant Tracker shows your in-depth match history, best maps, best weapons, headshot accuracies with all weapons, overall KD, and map win rates that are even broken down by attack and defense, as well as so much more. That's not all though. Valorant Tracker also shows your live match statistics, like your ADR, as well as the kills per round in the game you're playing. You'll also be able to see the ranks of players on both teams, allowing you to exploit any potential weaknesses on the enemy side. Now, what if you forget a lineup on the map you're playing? Valorant Tracker has you covered with in-game guides usable while playing. The best part, it's completely free. Check it out yourself with the link in the video description. Mindset is extremely important to grow as a player in Valorant, and negative mindsets oftentimes have negative impacts. Who would have thought? So having the right mindset is extremely important, not just to your success, but also the success of your teammates and to just your overall growth as a player. Now, a lot of you may have seen a previous video of mine that focuses on a mindset that I like to call the rule of thirds. Now, to summarize what that rule is, it essentially says that in 1/3 of your games, you'll win, 1/3 you'll lose, and then the remaining third is the games in which you determine the outcome, right? And while those numbers can always be adjusted because it's just a general rule, I think that the logic there is pretty sound. You are going to have an extreme impact in some of your games. So you always want to be performing at your best, but I do think mindsets that generally focus on one thing in particular can really hold some players back. That's why today's video focuses on what I will call the rule of impact. And the rule of thirds and the rule of impact can exist equally together. They can coexist, right? The rule of impact focuses on the idea of value over kills, right? So there is value greater than just killing in these games, and that is the entire focus of this mindset and of this video. Now, before we get into the actual rule itself, I want to explain the massive problem that Valorant has when it comes to mindsets that focus on kills. Valorant has a massive problem when it comes to how we educate players, coach players, and teach them how to become the best that they can be. And I think that is too many people focus on kills, right? There's a big problem with how focused we are, not just on like getting good value kills, which I don't think is talked enough about, but on just literally pumping up that scoreboard with completely pointless eco frags and, you know, 5v1 chases into a spawn to get that final kill, right? Like, a lot of people do not understand the value of a kill. And again, that's something maybe I need to explore in another video, but the problem with this is that it takes away from everything else happening in these games. So if I were to ask you guys, if you were to have a kill focused mindset, what players do you think are going to struggle more mentally in their games? Do you think it's going to be the duelist players, or do you think it might be the controllers, or maybe even the sentinels? I think we know the answer to that, right? The problem with a kill focused mindset is that it does not account for the roles in which you play. The role in which you play will often dictate at what point you'll be taking a fight, if you'll even be taking a fight at all, and your positioning, right? Because certain players should be positioned differently depending on their role. So if it doesn't account for the role you're playing, how can we apply it equally across all agents in the game and all players? Well, that's where it gets really tricky. Now, on top of that, it also does not account for equality of kills, I believe, to the degree it should. When I see people talking about their KD or their KDA or the number of kills they're getting, their average kills, their ADR, I oftentimes think to myself, I wonder if this person got a single impact frag in the game, right? Not all kills are created equal. You guys need to remember that. That's why a kill focus mindset does not actually help as much as you think. Another thing, it does not account for the utility usage of teammates that actually set up those kills, right? The scoreboard does not reflect that. And that's the big problem with a kill focused mindset, is that often the only way people are judging themselves is on the scoreboard. What place am I coming in? That doesn't account for your KO flashing you, or your Sky dogging for you, or your Sova droning. No. It just accounts for how many kills you got in the round. And the players that are doing the heavy lifting to get the info for you, they generally aren't getting credit. And that's a big problem, right? Because a kill focused mindset does not account for teamwork very well. And on top of that, it also focuses a particular play style, and that is the aggressive players. More aggressive players, they're going to take more fights. They're generally going to be the ones asking for more utility to support them. So by the time that they're dead and they've already gotten their kills, you're going to find yourself completely out of abilities and just taking an unfavorable aim duel, right? Again, that is why mindset is important, because you need to understand where your value comes from outside of just the scoreboard and looking at the line that starts with a K. Now, the final thing I want to say is that I believe the Valorant community overemphasizes the focus on aim trainers. A lot of people come to me using a lot of aim trainers, spending a lot of time in aim trainers. They're like, hey, Dragon, we're in a coaching session together. And they're like, I spend 2-3 hours in aim lab a day. I come into the session, I see their aim, their crosshair placement is nowhere close to what it needs to be. And I'm not sure if they even play the game at all, right? And this is a big problem, that there is so much to improve outside of just aim trainers. And when your entire focus is on emulating your favorite YouTube jet player, oftentimes you miss learning a lot of the important fundamentals that you need to actually develop as a complete player. So with that being said, let's get into the rule of impact. The rule of impact, the focus of this video. The rule of impact is very simple. It says that you value impact over kills, okay? Your impact in a round is dictated by a number of things that are completely outside of you ever firing a bullet. You do not need to click left click on your mouse to have impact in a round. And I know the Jet and Reyna players are in disbelief right now, but I promise it's a real thing. I want you to think for a second. When you are playing in, let's say, a 3v3 and you are in a post plant position on site, what do you think is more important? Going for a kill as a solo player and looking to just find a 1v1 aim duel? Or if you're the Omen and you smoke off their main choke point where they're going to have to push through, and your Omen doesn't end up getting a kill, but your teammates do, right? So the other two players kill 3, your Omen just smokes it. Who do you think had more impact? Well, I think that's a pretty even situation, but that's a situation in which the Omen smoke was absolutely vital to winning that round, but it's not really going to show very well on the scoreboard, right? That's where this mindset comes in. That's where the rule of impact comes in. It says to focus on things outside of the scoreboard, right? And like I said, you don't even need to shoot your gun to have an impact. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's dive into that a little bit deeper. Impact can come from many sources. One of those is your teamwork. So for example, pre-round, if you're able to give good information, check the economy of the enemy team, call out any potential oppers, ults, maybe call a strategy or two. These are all things that impact rounds. These all have a positive impact. They don't show on the scoreboard. For example, if you are playing a controller, oftentimes you're smoking for your teammates. Those smokes, when placed properly and timed properly, have a massive impact on that round. Without them, generally speaking, your team is going to have a much harder time at any type of site take on attack. But again, they're not often shown on the scoreboard, but that is a way in which you can very easily have impact without ever firing a bullet. What about flank protection? What about someone holding flank with an ability, not with their physical self, of course? Think of Chamber, for example, or Cypher, or even Killjoy, right? These are all agents that are great at holding flanks. If I'm playing on Haven, I absolutely want one of them on my team. And if they're putting down their abilities on attack to hold our flanks, guess what? That is immediate impact, because I know those areas are safe and I can turn my focus onto the more important things like taking a site or finding kills. Again, do you guys think that the putting down an alarm bot is ever going to show up on the scoreboard for how well you impacted the game? Until Valorant gets some insane AI that can do that. No, it does not. But guess what? At the end of the game, that Killjoy is still going to look to themselves, look at their kills, and close Valorant for the rest of the day, right? And that is what we're trying to change. That's what this mindset is focused on, right? It's focused on looking at how you provide value to positively impact a round outside of just kills. Now, obviously, the assist column does a decent job in some cases, but it doesn't really work for all agents, right? So don't just look at assists. There's much more than that. For example, if you are going to execute a site, oftentimes you may die, but the space in which you create, sometimes space that your duelist isn't creating because they're not playing the role properly, you might die and instantly get traded. Remember, you might not fire a single bullet, but the space you create, the flashes, the smokes, the mollies, whatever you use, may push the enemies into a spot or reveal locations that then allow your team to trade them and get positive kills from those trades. That is a massive impact. And again, that does not show up on the scoreboard, but you still had a massive value in that round and you impacted it positively. But again, it's not showing up in the kill column. Now guys, the rule of impact sounds rather simple, but the truth is that if you can reshape your mindset and refocus your priorities in game, you are going to have a much better time playing Valorant. And also you're just going to grow as a player more because you're going to start recognizing how you impacted rounds without actually getting kills. And I see this all the time on Twitter where people are getting called out for being a certain rank, being boosted. Well, people don't even understand the actual impact of the role they're playing, especially if you are a controller player or if you are a sentinel player. A lot of times your setups and your ability usage is going completely unnoticed by the masses, but trust me, I see you and I know the impact you're having in these rounds. Now, this mindset was absolutely vital for me in my grind to Radiant. I would not have hit Radiant without my ability usage and my teamwork, and valuing things over kills, valuing the impact of my abilities and my callouts and everything like that over kills is so important to me as a player. And it's honestly integral. Like without it, I am not the player I am. And I know if I would have gotten hung up on kills and on the scoreboard in my games, I never would have made the progress that I'm making now. This is why it is extremely important that when you do use sites like Valorant Tracker, which are amazing for looking up your stats, you always recognize the thing outside of kills as well, which is how you actually played in the match. And that's where VOD reviewing and then that's where really critically thinking and having this mindset are going to come in massive for you guys looking to improve. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and remember, I am streaming live on Saturdays with coaching sessions and VOD reviews, and then also on Mondays and Wednesdays with my new Initiator to Radiant series. If you guys are interested, I'd love to see you on stream. Other than that, if you did enjoy, leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, and peace.